My money don't jiggle jiggle, it folds. That could be a good way of starting it. Today, we're going to do Louis Theroux.
That's such a cheesy intro.
It's a good intro, though, for an amazing subject.
Okay, so Louis Theroux.
So, back in 2001, got commissioned to photograph him. He was doing weird weekends where he'd have a celebrity, he'd go and stay with them. I sort of felt that we were doing the same sorts of people, and I felt like we would get on, and we did. One of his programs was about this kind of, he was a huge Saturday night entertainer called Paul Daniels, a magician, and he was married to Debbie McGee, the beautiful Debbie McGee. He was his assistant. And Louis stayed with them and made a program about it. He was flirting with Debbie McGee. It was kind of a bit weird. And the first shoot consisted of the three of them coming to my house in Hackney. It was right on the common.
Yeah.
And I was sort of wondering where they'd got to. And suddenly this big black limousine arrived. And there they were, like they were a throuple before throuples were a thing.
Yeah, because he often kind of moves in with his subjects, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Similar to that photographer, which is it Jane Bowen?
No, Annie Leibovitz?
Is it Annie Leibovitz?
Well, in the 70s, Annie Leibovitz would move in with her subjects. It was a different era. She had much more access. So she went on tour with the Rolling Stones and sort of almost became part of the band and got these amazing pictures. Like there's a shot of Keith Richards lying out of it on drugs with a gun in his hand,
Wow.
Photo studio, just crazy stuff.
It's all about access, isn't it?
Yeah, so kind of gonzo journalism.
Yeah.
And that's what Louis was doing. It was called Louis's Weird Weekends. You probably don't remember this, but we lived next door to a location house, a big modern kind of brutalist conversion where they kind of ripped out all the walls. So it was like a big photo studio.
Was I at school at the time, or?
Well, it was 2001, so you were a baby. You were probably being admired. Oh, he's cute. And we sort of were entertained by Paul Daniels. So he was doing all these magic tricks for us and sort of keeping everything light and amusing. I remember he had this rubber band and he flicked the rubber band and it would land on the other side of the room and it would circle its way back along the wooden floors.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was kind of quite... He was genuinely an impressive musician. No longer with us.
Magician.
A magician. What did I say?
Musician.
Yeah, magician. And recently, I actually photographed his Debbie McGee on her own. And I photographed him loads of times over the years, with and without Debbie.
Maybe he warrants his own video. Are they still married, actually?
No, well, he died,
Oh.
and she lives in this house on the Thames that keeps getting flooded, actually. So getting back to Louis, he was a fantastic subject, and I sort of felt that we would get on, and we did. As I said, we actually have a sort of similar kind of background. I'm not anywhere near as posh. I mean, he basically went to Westminster, which is one of the best private schools in the country. And his father, I mean, it's a dynasty of writers and intellectuals and impressive people. But his father was American and his mother was English. And I had the same thing. My dad was an American and my mum was English. And so there was a sort of, a mutual understanding. We were coming from the same place. We were sort of kidding around. It was really easy. I like his programs. I mean, like everybody else, he's been part of the BBC kind of output, the cultural output of the last sort of 25 years.
Was this before or after his Jimmy Savile documentary?
He literally just done him.
Okay, so would you say he's at the height of his powers, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, remember back then, very few people knew what a monster Jimmy Savile was. Yeah. And then, interestingly enough, I would go on to photograph Savile 6 years from then. We should do another video on Jimmy Savile.
Yeah, so subscribe to see our Jimmy Savile video.
Absolutely. So basically...
The next part of the video is completely out of focus. It's my fault. I should have probably checked the cameras when I press record, but I still think it's worth including because it's good stuff and we didn't want to re-record it because I feel like it loses authenticity. So hope you enjoy. Merry Christmas and sorry again.
We did the shoot. I used the minimalist, brutalist house to good effect, and I got a really nice shoot with Louis. And I felt that, not that I'd made a friend because, you don't really get to know people unless you photograph them several times. But I sort of felt, yeah, he lived up to what I expected. And then he got in touch. And the following week, he came into IPG, my agency.
So into the office.
Into the office, yeah. He wanted to see the shoot and get some prints. And so we had some prints made. And everyone was a bit starstruck because, you know, he's a big guy. He plays it down, and he's sort of, his stock and trade is kind of humility, but he's as smart as anyone you could meet. And actually, he's a really handsome guy. And so I remember Tara my agent was really blushing profusely, and we were all kind of like, you know, we all wanted a slice of Louis. He picked up the prints, and then, as luck would have it, Glamour called and asked me to shoot him again.
How long after that?
A few months later.
Oh, okay. And he remembered you?
Absolutely. And it was really nice because he just bought a house. He was obviously at a big stage, a shift in his life. He'd bought this house in Harlesden, and it was all derelict, you know, and the garden was really overgrown. And at the bottom of the garden was this tree with these huge apples. Normally, you wouldn't come up with something so naff as getting someone to put an apple on their head, but these apples were so big, they were like a hat. And I said it was for Glamour. I said to the picture editor what I wanted to do, and they were kind of worried that he would be arsey about it. But because of our previous connection and the previous shoot, and he'd been to my home, it was all good. In fact, I think I even got a hug. You know, the whole thing went really well.
The importance of rapport, I guess.
Absolutely. It's a really nice to have those pictures because it was at a time before, you know, he was definitely at the stage of his life where his money jiggled rather than folded. And now, you know, he's king of the world, isn't he? I mean, he's really online. He's a big presence.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
We love what he does.
Yeah. And do you listen to his podcast?
I do. I listen to everything he does. And also there's a connection with Adam Buxton because they went to school together.
Oh, didn't know that.
Yeah, absolutely. Adam and Joe were best mates with Louis. I think Louis a year younger than them. So they all were at school together, you know.
It just shows how powerful going to a big school like that is.
I definitely think if you go to a school like that, there's no barriers. People constantly saying to you, what do you want to do? You know, you can do it.
Yeah.
You know, go for it. Whereas,
and the contacts you have as well.
Yeah. Well, also, I mean, reflecting on my, my own father, my dad said to me, you haven't got what it takes to be a photographer. He'd worked in advertising, so his words carried a lot of weight. But he said, you know, forget it.
Work in a camera shop.
Work in a camera shop.
Yeah.
So that's the other side of it. You know, it's made me resilient and tough. But I do think if you go to a private school like that, maybe you feel sad because your parents have sort of dropped you off at the school and you're boarding or whatever. So it has its own problems. But you have access to inspirational people, and your peers are all the children of successful people. So that's your reality.
Yeah. You're the sum of people around you. And
yeah.
Did you remember when you did make it as a photographer and you told your dad?
He was putting down my work right until he died.
Okay.
When my book came out, Survivor, which I probably did because of his being Jewish and I wanted to impress him, even though he was an atheist. And I showed him a copy of the book, and the back third of the book is all biographies, and that's the bit that I had the least to do with. And of course, he sort of turned around and said that that was the most interesting thing about the book was the biographies, not the photography or the bits that I was involved in, but the stuff that I didn't really have much to do with.
Was that gutting?
No, because I have kind of accepted the situation for what it is, and that's part of growing up, is accepting and not playing those games, not seeking approval from people that are never going to give it.
Yeah. Oh, it's a bit of advice there.
Yeah.
Resiliency and.
Well, it's true, isn't it? I mean,
for sure.
It's much better to select the people that you have close to you from the reservoir of people who really get you and really like you and are rooting for you, and don't seek approval from people that are kind of secretly hoping you're going to fail.
Yeah. Cool. I think it's a nice way to end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And happy Christmas.
Happy Christmas and a new year.
Yeah.